Well, let's get it started.
Yeah, so Lori, how did you understand? Was Jessica supposed to be here? Or was this a financial thing, or what are we talking about today?
We're not going to talk about money. Not yet. We're not there yet.
Okay.
We will, but we're not there yet. I think first and foremost, we need to talk about getting these guys back to work.
Mm-hmm.
We, the four of us, me, Lori,
Mhm.
Roman, and Dwayne's not here, we took an oath of office to serve and protect the public. And right now, that's in serious jeopardy. And the longer this goes on, the worse it gets. Mike Boone and I have been running the jail because we haven't had any support. Montana Code annotated 732-2201 says the commissioners are supposed to run the jail. And we talked about that the first day, Roman. And you haven't been in there once. Okay? And that's not why I'm here. I don't want to make this personal. But as you all know, I was born and raised here. I saw the negative effects. I was part of a strike that happened out at the old Diamond Match Mill. And saw the negative effects of a strike and was not happy about that when people started talking about it. But as you know, I support them, my deputies, detention officers, and dispatchers. I think that it's high time that we start looking at why Mineral County, as far as public safety is concerned, why it's been a training ground. I was part of that training ground. I was a deputy here in the 90s, and I left. And when I left, I tripled my income. I came back here, looked at my first check, and I said, how the hell do I live on this?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not why I did it. I did it because I love Mineral County. So here we are. So it's not time to talk about money and contracts and all that. First and foremost, like I said, we need to talk about getting these guys back to work. To get rid of Mineral County citizens being in jeopardy right now.
Mm-hmm.
All that we have to do is agree to a date and they're back to work. How hard is that?
Yeah, we did agree to the date. It's on the 15th.
Well, no, we haven't agreed to a date. Because if we'd agreed to a date, they'd be back to work. They were ready to go back to work yesterday as soon as that happened, and it didn't happen. So what are we going to do? What do we need to do to make sure that they're back to work today?
I thought the date was set.
No, Roman. Let's stop playing games.
No, there's a date set, Tommy. There's a date set.
Then why aren't they back to work yet? You tell me.
Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Isn't it 10?
At 10 o'clock, Wednesday, June 15th at 10.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of people lying to me then. I'm being told there hasn't been a date agreed. Roman, you said
No, the
to me-
date's been agreed.
You
The
said-
problem is there's a...
You said to me out there in the hallway that
Mhm.
there's problems with some language with that date.
I keep getting it. I just got an email again from the attorney, and he says that Mr. Fontaine,
Who's the attorney? Who are you talking about?
Dan Johns,
Okay.
it says that the union's conditional offer to cease striking is vague, and they are not being clear. It's ambiguous and vague and leaves questions unanswered. We want them to come back to work too, but the problem is that some of the things that Sean Fontaine is assuming will be automatic. He says that to work should be unconditional. The county will certainly do what is legally required, otherwise it would require agreement with the union. If the employees unconditionally offer to return to work, they may do so. The temporary workers the county has employed, would then be done working. We may want to structure our future economic offers. It's not about the date, Tommy. It's about what Fontaine is assuming will be automatic.
So then what do we need to do to get you and Fontaine together, Dan Johns together, and talk about this? I mean, everybody, it seems like no one wants to talk to anyone. There's a whole bunch of emailing going on, and we've
Yeah.
talked about emailing,
Yeah.
Roman. How people assume things because they're not sitting face to face with each other, and how things get misinterpreted.
Right. They can
It
come
needs to
back
be
to work,
face to
Tommy.
face.
They can come back to work now. We want them to. There's a date set.
If everyone agrees to this,
I thought all they wanted was a date, an agreed date, and that has been established. And
No,
Mr.
they stood there last Friday and said, as soon as the date is set, we'll go back to
That's
work.
what I was told.
The date has been set.
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem is then. Is it just the language of this thing?
Be-
No, it's what Fontaine is inserting in his.
What is he inserting?
Um, well, in my opinion, I mean, if we're gonna get riled up, I think Mr. Fontaine led everybody down the wrong trail, and a lot of this is, we didn't even have to go to the strike. We could have, if we would have been notified of the intent to strike.
They notified you.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't. They have to do it in writing and a formal, and we didn't get
They
that.
did that Friday before they went on strike.
No, that was the letter of intent to strike. That was not a notification. What are we to do on Friday, 8 a.m.?
Roman?
That's not how it works.
That's not what I want to talk about today.
I'm saying that we could have,
That's not
this
what I
thing
want to
could have
talk
been
about
avoided
today.
if we would have had.
I want to talk about getting the guys back to work and what it takes to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to rehash something that's past
Well,
because it's not going to change the future because it's past.
I'm
We
just
forget
saying
about that.
a lot of
and
fingers are
move
being
forward.
pointed, and Mr. Fontaine isn't looking in the mirror because we didn't want
Well,
this to happen.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to
So-
do that here. Not just Mr. Fontaine. I think everyone needs to.
Well, yeah. There have been a whole lot of.
Yeah,
False
I know. And if you
information.
want to go down that road, we
Go
could.
ahead. Okay, let me just give him a call then and say, what do we need to do? Because we want this to happen.
Let's
too,
let's
Tom.
put it on speakerphone so everyone can hear it.
Okay. Can we use that phone then? Is that
Sure,
probably-
whenever you want to call.
Do you have his number, Roman?
Yeah, I got it. It's 406, of course.
I thought he.
751-3266.
You want me to call Sean or
Dan or
Dan?
Sean?
You
Who are
talking?
calling?
Oh, you want?
Who are you-
I was gonna call. I don't have the right to call Fontaine, but maybe you. I don't know.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, that sounds like that's who we need to talk to.
Is Fontaine?
Fontaine?
Okay, let's call Fontaine then.
Okay, I got his number. Hang on.
He's been the only one that's reached out or even tried to talk to me about any of this. So, and I've talked to him about every day.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, when you only have one person talking to you, then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean, they're gonna put their spin on it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's not fair to anyone to do that. That's why I think we need to talk as a group and get this thing
Mm-hmm.
figured out and be done with it.
What's the number here?
And then we can start talking about money and contracts and all that.
That's what. Yeah, I thought once the date was set, we could start doing that, and the date has been set.
Well, that's what I was told, that as soon as the date was set, they'd come back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were told last Friday.
Hi, Sean, this
You
is
get a
Charlie
date set
Thompson.
and we'll be back to work.
I'm sitting here with the county commissioners and the sheriff and the county attorney, and we would like to speak to
So what
you.
was the agreement
If you
that
could please give me a
everybody's
call
having
back.
trouble with words then?
822.
Well, it's this
Right.
5
conditions go back to work
Thank you.
that this
Bye-bye.
Fontaine is putting on.
What are the conditions?
What conditions is everybody not agreeing to?
Do you want me to read them?
Yes.
Do you have my handy? Because I can't find it.
Great, thanks.
Mediation has been set for June 15th, 2016 at 10 a.m. With the date being set, the members, in show of good faith, want to come off strike. With that being the case, I would propose the following. 1, the picket line will cease immediately. 2, members will be allowed to return to work on their next scheduled shift unless further notified that they need to report earlier. 3, no member, regardless of classification or status, will suffer no loss of seniority, accrued time off, benefits, or any negative impact of employment status. Please let me know if this is acceptable. And that was sent at 11:30 on the nose yesterday morning.
Oh my God, what is wrong with that?
Yeah, what is wrong with that?
I'm not sure. All that I know is that the attorney, Mr. Johns, thought that that was vague, and we needed to get which part because there was misunderstanding on the insurance meaning this day forward or the prior 2 weeks or
Yes. So
that's the misunderstanding.
I'm not sure how much I can share of Mr. Johns' information without violating attorney-client privilege, but the way that it was given to me is that he takes issue with number 3, specifically the insurance benefits, because we had said at the beginning when the union members went on strike that we were not going to be paying for their health insurance coverage. However, the union members have earned their health insurance for June because we pay for them in May. So we paid for May for June coverage. And I said that yesterday in an email, that they've already earned that. So then we received another email regarding about July, and I shot an email back off to him today saying that I don't care about July. Here we are in June. The union members have earned what they needed for June coverage. I didn't hear anything back from Mr. Johns yesterday. I talked to Roman a couple of times. I believe he was waiting for Dan to respond. We didn't hear back anything.
I just got an email at 9:04 now.
I got one too, yeah. But I didn't hear anything from 11:30 until 9 o'clock last night. And I had called, emailed, I had tried really hard yesterday to.
Well, it's not your job to do that, it's their job. First
I
of
know,
all.
but I feel like I'm their eyes and
Well,
ears here,
it's-
and
That's not your job. They need to do that, not you.
We were all in communication yesterday. Even though I'm trying to get this wedding organized, I was still answering your phone.
yeah.
And we were communicating.
Mhm.
Let's see if Sean Fontaine will answer my phone.
Yeah.
I just want this over. I want to
We-
get them
we
back
all
to
do.
work.
We all do.
Let's stop this bullshit and move forward.
Yep.
You
That's what
guys
I want to do.
have the ability to do
Stop
that.
this bullshit and move
Or
forward.
you just
Yep.
ask him one quick question for that email.
Today.
Today,
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can't do it
I was
much
ready
longer.
yesterday,
Yeah, we thought it'd happen.
and I thought,
And I
okay,
also
we
thought
got the
Fontaine and
mediation
Dan were
set up.
communicating on our
They
behalf
said
to
that
get
as soon
whatever
as
the
the date
problems
was
are
set, they were
figured out.
going back to work.
Oh, I don't
Doesn't
think so.
sound like they are.
Well, in a show of good faith, I mean, they did what they said they were gonna do. The picket line stopped. And, you know, they were ready. And
Yeah,
I guess
Sean.
I'm struggling with this whole insurance thing too.
Hey, I'm sitting in the commissioner's room right now with the commissioners trying to figure this thing out and move forward so I can get people back to work. Is there a phone number, Charlie, that he can call so we can put him on speakerphone?
822-3556.
822-3556. Would you call that so we can sit here and talk? Okay. Three, 556.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bye. All right, he's gonna call.
And I want to be clear, my comments are made in the context of a department head and a citizen. I'm not speaking as your legal counsel because that's what you pay Dan Johns for. But I want it to be absolutely clear that I am struggling on that level with this whole,
Commissioners,
if the
will you-
insurance thing's what's holding it up, I think that's
Sean.
absolutely ridiculous.
Is it okay if I put you on
ridiculous
speaker?
When you consider the safety of the citizens
Okay.
of Mineral County.
Absolutely.
Okay, Sean, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Sean.
Good morning.
We got Roman and Lori and, you know, a few other.
Dwayne Simons is absent, but me and Lori are here. We're talking with Tommy, trying to figure out what we need to do for everybody to return to work, as was suggested with the date being set. How-
Sure. So you saw the email that I sent out. I know, Roman, you were included on it. Lori, I don't believe you were. I didn't see whoever it was, but Dan Johns, Tom was involved in it. Charlie was involved in it. And that email basically outlined the conditions of going back to work. This is one of the things that we have to talk about when, given the situation that we're in. Now, with that being said, it was, the short of it was we go back status quo. You know, we weren't asking for anything. It was everyone retains their seniority. They retain all of their accrued benefits, their accrued time off. And we go back status quo as a good faith because, you know, technically we we could leave the lineup and we could continue to pick it until mediation. But given the public safety and everyone's desire to go back to work, and in a show of good faith, this is what we were willing to do. Now, from what I understand, what the issue is the health insurance premium right now. Now, under the health plan, and Charlie, if I'm wrong, correct me at any point, but the way that I understand it is that you have your eligibility is based on your hours from the previous month. So when you start with the county on, let's just say January 1st, you have to work the qualifying hours during January, and then your coverage starts in February. Then in February, you have to work those qualifying hours for coverage in March. There's a lag month. Now, everybody has worked the qualifying hours in May that would give them June coverage. But I'm not going to point fingers or say how it came about, but their insurance was canceled effective June 1st, even though they had already accrued that benefit for June. So what we're asking for is for the county to pay their health insurance premium for the month of June based on their May hours that they worked, because they've already accrued that eligibility. Everything else that's out there is, I think it's a no-brainer, and it's not any big hang-up, but that's what we need to get back to work. It's that simple.
Have you talked to Sean, to find out why the explanation you provided was a hiccup for him?
I think you saw the email, and Dan had asked a question. He emailed me about 5:30 last night. I responded as soon as I got the email, and his question was, what do you mean by the insurance benefit? I mean, it's, he knows what I'm talking about. He knows exactly what it is. They have their insurance canceled. We just want to have the insurance premium paid. Dan really hasn't contacted me through any of this. There was that date about the 16th that was set up. I found out about that from the mediator, but that date was set without any input from me. That was a unilateral thing, and so when I talked to Bill Smith about it, or during the email that was going back, I just said, no, I had never even heard of that date. So we finally got the date of the 15th set. That's when I sent the email out to Charlie. Had emailed me, and I responded to her and added more people in on it and said, these are the conditions and terms of us returning back to work.
So Sean, Tom Bauer, you told me from the beginning that as soon as a date was set, they'd come back to work. There was no talk about health insurance or anything else.
That was one of the things we had talked about, Tom, was that I had said that I had to email out and
Right,
we had to agree on the conditions and terms of going back to work. But we absolutely agreed as a group that as soon as we had a date set for mediation, that we would return to work.
Right, and that date's been set. Why are they not back to work, other than what you've said? I mean,
We're wondering why the simple a date's been set, return to work, and all the rest of these issues would be addressed later but that while they're ongoing and working. Why are we making that a condition of them to return to work and not just the simple?
So if we return to work, and like I said, we're number one, there's no obligation for us to return to work because we are on strike, and we would have the ability to continue to picket until we have a contract. We don't want to do that for public safety, and the only holdup is the insurance. That is it right now, from what I understand, is they canceled their insurance even though they had already worked the qualifying hours in May for June coverage.
Sean, we have a date. We have a date.
That is the issue that's out there.
We have a date. Okay, why can't this health insurance issue be talked about
And resolved.
as the guys are coming back to work? Why do we have to wait to do that for the guys to come back to work? Because that's not what I was told from the beginning.
They canceled their insurance.
I understand that. I understand that.
So what would be the difference if they decided they didn't have vacation accruals anymore? There's no difference. It's one of the benefits. We're going back status quo.
I understand.
That's what I'm asking for, is to go back status quo, and apparently there's heartburn on the county side about doing that.
No, I understand that, Sean. That's not my point to this. My point is, why can't this be discussed as the guys come back to work and hashed out so that we're no longer putting the citizens of Mineral County in jeopardy because of public safety issues?
Why can't the county just pay their insurance because they've already accrued that benefit?
Well, I think what the sheriff's frustrated with, and so am I, is there was a simple statement made, if only a date were set, they would return to work. And the rest of these issues, we would all bargain in good faith and come to a resolution. I mean, if you're gonna include that, I mean, what if we do decide to pay their insurance?
And if you agree to it, they go back right now.
No,
They go,
I know,
they
but
go
that,
back right now.
before your statement to the sheriff was, they'll go back right now if a date is only established, and that's been done. So now why are there other things being added on? That's what he's frustrated with.
Why was their insurance canceled? I mean, we can go back and forth and around and around and around all day on this, but I think that, and I don't want to get into comments and statements and everything that was said, because we're going to both have heartburn about that. This is a very simple thing that we're asking for, because it's a benefit that they've already accrued.
When that statement was made in the meeting last week,
Mhm.
did all those people know that their insurance would be canceled when they made the statement that they would go back to work?
In fact, there were,
They knew last
there were
Friday.
postings included, there were postings put out throughout the building advising everybody that the insurance might be in jeopardy if it continued into June. Do we still have those signs?
Yeah, they're still up.
Yeah, they're still up.
That it continued into June?
Correct.
Okay, so what do we need to do to move forward then? Do we need to agree to this insurance thing, it sounds like? What do we need to
That's
do?
all I need. That's all I need. I mean, if you guys say that you'll pay the insurance premium because they've already earned that benefit, then they go back. I mean, I'm on my way out there right now, and they would go back. They would have their uniforms on, and they would be at work. It's what, 9:30? They would be there at 10 o'clock if that's when you wanted them. All I need to know is that the county's going to pay the insurance. It's not new money. It's not anything. It was already budgeted for, and I understand the county's position about canceling and everything, but we're trying to do the right thing and in good faith go back to work right now, and I don't think that's a lot on the county's part just to pay their insurance while we're getting this done.
So is that true? The money was there already?
It was budgeted for. I mean, it had to have been budgeted
So
for at some point.
what's the
so
problem?
it's
Why
not
can't
new
we
money.
agree to this so we can get people back to work?
We might very well be able to. I don't know if he'd give us any credit for doing so, but
He
Well,
just said
that's-
that.
yeah.
We all heard it.
Say that again. I'm sorry I missed that.
I was just saying that we very well may have intended for that to happen, but it just seems
Well, let's
everyone's
get it
being
done.
awful suspicious, and I don't know.
Let's do the right thing and
Yeah.
get it done then.
I agree.
There you go.
Pay the damn insurance.
Let's go.
Let's move forward.
Yes.
But I'm to the point. I'm sorry. This has been tough.
Oh, yeah. It's been extremely tough for
But
everyone.
it seems like the sheriff's office is continually holding this county hostage. If they don't get their way, we're threatened with a lawsuit. We're going on strike. It's like we can't
Those things
win
have,
for losing.
those things have happened. It's time to move forward.
I
and
agree.
Put all this
Let's
to bed
move forward.
And
But
do
I'm
the right
tired
thing.
of being held hostage.
Well, so am I. So it's time to move forward.
Well, pay
in
the
good faith.
insurance. Let's go back to work and let's move forward.
Okay.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
I absolutely agree. I am 100% on your guys' side. We just need to move forward with
So-
it. If somebody can reply to the email that the insurance will be paid, I'm on my way. I'll be there in 20 minutes, and they will be back in the building working as soon as you want them
It's
to.
up to Roman's got to agree to it too, but I'm tired of the
Roman?
bullshit and I want to move forward.
We,
I agree 100%.
But I want, come negotiation next week, I want to make sure that we are doing this in good faith because we want to get these
Yeah.
people back to work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's all we want is
Yeah.
good faith bargaining, you guys.
And this
we're
is-
not shooting for the moon here. And this, it's all going to come up, and we'll show you our justifications for everything. I apologize if you feel like you're being held hostage. I mean, this is the first time that we've had an issue that's gone this far in Mineral County, and I'm sorry that it came to that. You have to
there's just
understand,
been
I
so
represent
much-
the members, and I'm speaking on their behalf. This isn't Sean's personal vendetta against anybody. This is me doing my job as a business agent for the Teamsters Union who represent the Sheriff's Department in Mineral County. So, please understand the position I'm coming from is I'm here in the best interest of the members, and I know on your guys' side, you're there in the best interest of the county, and we need to figure out a way for those sides to come together, and that's what the negotiation process is for.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. So, with that being said, if you can reply to my email with what we just talked about, I'll be there in 15 minutes, and we'll have everybody in the building working.
All right, and I will contact Mako and undo the insurance
Roman?
right away, Sean.
Yeah, when he's hanging up, we'll.
Thank you
we'll
very
get a
much.
motion, we'll talk about it.
Okay,
and get it
thank you.
official, and we'll hang
Talk
on.
to you in a few.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay. I agree with Lori. I thought that he wouldn't be so stubborn and hold on. I intended that this would be part of our going back to work. A date was set. I thought we would talk about this.
That's
And
my
this
understanding,
gesture
too.
that Lori's suggesting about the insurance would be included in our good faith negotiations. Apparently, Mr. Fontaine wants it not to really be included in negotiations. He wants it to be one of the first
Yep.
things to
We
happen
understand
before.
that.
So, that needs to be stated in the record as for our formal motion here, that this is our first step in good faith effort, that we do want these people to come back to work. In my opinion, the union's been a little bit difficult to work with and stubborn, but we are going to concede once again because we want,
Again.
yeah. I mean, I know that's not probably your perception or some people,
You
but
know,
I feel like we've been given a lot.
This isn't personal, guys.
Well, it's not with you, but I'm starting to feel personal with this
I
gentleman.
understand that. But again, and I'll keep going back to this if I have to, we need to do what's right for the citizens of Mineral County.
Right.
And we're
not.
trying.
Well, and-
We're all failing.
That's why we're
why I'm
continuing
here.
to do this, even though
That's why I'm here too,
yeah.
Lori.
So,
So what do we
without
do?
Dwayne being here, we still have a quorum and we can still make a decision. Lori and I, pre-negotiations, as a condition of them returning to work, have a motion. You wanna make the
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
To go ahead and reinstate the health insurance as part, not only of helping the citizens of Mineral County, but to help these employees, because they're gonna need their health insurance. And this whole thing was announced at the beginning that this might be a jeopardy of their health insurance. Regardless of that fact, regardless of the union man's stance to not want it to be part of negotiations, we're gonna let it be granted in advance just to get people back to work.
Thank
Now,
you.
I'll second that.
So a motion was made by Commissioner Johnson to reinstate the health insurance for the union as a show of good faith to bring the union workers back to work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I'll second that. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Dwayne will just have to be mad at us if he's gonna be mad at us.
He won't.
So, I'll send the email now, Tommy, and
Thank you, Roman.
I guess I'll include you.
Yep,
Do you want me to send it from
CC me.
here, Roman?
Oh, sure, that'd be great. You've got everybody's address and I don't have to sit there.
Sorry.
And then include Tommy
Mm-hmm.
and Fontaine. Yeah, okay. and to, yeah, and to, yeah. Now workers may begin work as of June, what is the date?
Today's the 9th, isn't it?
Ninth.
Yeah, as you can see, this wasn't me and this wasn't you, this is these guys. I mean, because I was on the phone with them and in fact, now I just got another email, he's still
I think-
suspicious, our lawyer's still suspicious, but Lori and I did it, it's already done.
I think a lot of what's happened is collectively, I think everyone involved, it's been kind of a lack of communication.
Well, misinformation, lack of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked when I got the letter of intent on Friday, which was not the same as a notification, it means we're doing it. And we were meeting here, but that doesn't mean we can all negotiate on meeting day at 8 in the morning, because there's no union guy, there's no Dan Johns, there's no, you know.
Well, like I said, we just need to move forward. Move forward.
All right, well, hopefully, I guess Fontana will help you get organized and we can get everybody back in.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Lori.
Well,
Yeah.
are we still gonna, are you gonna come back in and talk budget? Or, we gotta, I mean, we've gotta figure out what we're gonna do come Wednesday.
Wednesday next week?
Negotiation day.
Yeah.
I don't think we're done here.
well, we just don't want to have it to start all over again, because we are limited and we really are limited in our resources, but.
We
So
gotta-
we didn't know
I mean,
what
it's your
kind of.
budget, Tom. We
Yes, it
gotta
is.
find out where to get the money.
And that's your job as commissioners.
Okay? Or,
I think the only way is a public safety levy.
well, what are they asking? What do you want to give them? Where, all these other
Lori?
department heads,
Lori,
okay, they
I have
can't,
not
okay,
been
Marcia,
part of any of the discussions
can
so
I
far
finish,
with mine.
please? The other departments, Tim Reed, he gave up his raise to give to his employee. Marcia, she gave up stuff in her budget to pay her employees. Dale gave up his raise to pay his employees. There's other departments that sacrificed within their departments to give their employees some more money. Where are we gonna find this money within your budget? Are you ready, are you willing to sacrifice something else?
We gave you $113,000 last year to help everything. If there's money there, we'll do it. I don't know what's there, Lori. I haven't looked at any of it yet. I haven't been part of that process yet.
Well, I mean, it's just, the spending is just ridiculous.
The spending?
Yeah, did the sheriff's office need 7 pair of binoculars?
Yeah, they did.
What for?
For their job, Lori. We've been using our personal gear for our job.
How do people use
And
their
it's
personal
wrong.
gear?
You don't
I
want
mean,
us
it's
to,
just-
to do our job effectively?
Well,
Is that
and
what you're
then,
saying?
it's just like, I mean, you're always saying, this is my department, you don't tell me how to run my department. We've backed off, haven't said anything, right?
No, you haven't. Every day when I walk the street, someone says something to me. Lori has said this.
Yeah.
And I haven't said anything to you yet.
Because I'm
but you're
fed
bringing
up,
it up.
because
So
you
haven't
sat
done
at-
that.
you
have
You sat
micromanaged
at
us
my
from day
table,
one.
you sat
and
at
you
my-
said when I took office you wouldn't do that.
You
we
said-
had a
yeah,
talk right
you
here
sat at my
the day that
table
I
and
took office, all
promised-
three of us, and talked about that.
You sat at my table and you promised me that things were gonna be different.
How do I know different when I haven't been here for more than one term?
We talked about schedules.
When I said
We talked
different,
about
I talked
schedules. That
about
was
how
gonna be different.
you guys interacted with the
we were
former
gonna be
sheriff, and
more
I didn't like what I
informed.
saw. It was very
Hasn't
embarrassing.
happened. We hear more of what's going on in sheriff's office out on the street. We see somebody new walk by. Well, who's that? Oh, that's a new deputy.
And I haven't brought them in and introduced them to you, have I?
Well-
I most certainly have. Every one of them.
Have I not asked just to sit in on interviews, just to sit in?
Tell me the difference between a robbery and a burglary. That's the point
They
here,
are,
Lori. That's
they are
one
our
big.
employees. They might work for you, but they're our
You can
employees.
sit in our interviews if you want.
I
but
have
don't want you
asked
on
to,
the
but
board.
nobody's ever.
I don't want you
I
on
never
the
know
board
when they
because you
are.
don't know the difference between robbery and burglary. That's my point.
That doesn't matter.
That's a tremendous
It doesn't
liability.
matter.
How
All
can
I
you
wanna
effectively
do is-
score someone if you don't understand law enforcement? You can't.
I don't want to be a part of the interview panel.
sit in.
I
I
have
never
asked.
said you couldn't.
I have asked. Nobody's
I've never said you
I have
couldn't.
been asked numerous times to let me know so that I can.
You
sit
haven't
in.
asked me. Because if you'd asked me, I would have said, knock yourself out. You're more than welcome.
Boone has known that all along.
Well, ask me, Lori.
Okay. I want to be, from now on, I would like to just sit in
That's fine.
on the interviews.
That's fine.
They're our employees because when the lawsuit comes down the trail,
What-
we're the one that has to deal with it.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. If you'd asked me from day one, I would have said yes, Lori. I do have a problem with you sitting on the board, but to sit in on the interview, just to sit, that, I think that'd be great. What?
I've asked.
You haven't asked me. Anything else?
Okay, so I guess we'll sit down with Jessica and see where we can, what we can come up with, and
That's what the process
We
is
have
all
to-
about, right?
if we have to cut positions, we'll cut positions, or, I don't know, I don't know. That's kind of why we wanted your input on what do we do, where do we find the money,
That's what it's all about.
okay?
Part of the process.
Okay,
All right, well, hopefully Fonte, he said 15 minutes. I don't know if that many was in St. Regis or what, but
Want me just to wait for him and?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I go, well, I guess he's got your number. I'll call you.
He does.
But I guess you can start whatever you want to do, making phone calls and helping schedule so the weekend is coming. But,
Is that where we're at?
yeah,
I kinda lost track of the days.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So, are you gonna be in all day, Tommy, today? So I walk
He
down.
needs to go home and
Try to
rest.
He's been working 18-hour days every day, plus he needs to go home. As soon as these guys are back on, he needs to get some rest.
I was just asking in case I wanted to visit. Assuming he should
Absolutely. If
work.
you wanna visit with me, I'm available for you.
Okay. All right,
Any of you.
all right, thanks.
Lori, Dwayne, you guys know that.
All right, see ya.
Thank you.
Emphasis of this meeting is that I have an engineering firm that wants to submit a CDBG grant on behalf of Mineral County. And if that happens, then there's not gonna be a grant opportunity for other things in the county for approximately a year. So I said, no, wait a minute, we need to get some priorities. If this other grant application goes forward, they're gonna ask the commissioners for support letters and my office and different things to do that. And I'm like going, I just want to make sure that if there's an opportunity out there of this, that when we've talked so much about the fairgrounds, that if that's maybe a higher priority, let's at least have a discussion about it. So the status is of the growth policy CDBG grant is that if the commissioner signs an extension to the grant, we might get that thing finished off here in June. So, oops. So we should be getting that done. The growth policy is basically finished up. So I've talked to, a couple people and certainly heard that, the Fair Board and different groups have said, let's, we got to get a plan going for the fairgrounds over here. And it just looks like to me that this would be a good opportunity to maybe get one of these, about the bottom line grant is $15,000. We could ask for more, but the $15,000 is a pretty safe number, and the in-kind, well, what made My CDBG grant, probably a little more higher priority is that the county committed $5,000 for the growth policy type thing, so we put that together. I just checked for sure the planning grant needs to be in before the 1st of July, and they will decide something in September, it looks like, from what I'm seeing on their webpage. So their application is about an eight-page application here.
It's huge.
What's that, it's huge?
Yeah.
Okay, well, and so, you know, if somebody wants to look at the application that we put together for the CDBG, I got it there. I've started writing the first parts of the application if somebody's so interested. So it's kind of for the commissioners to hear input from these people. I can speak for the St. Regis project. That would be a trail bridge combination project that would go with Highway 135. They want to try to add some other emphasis on that rebuild of the Highway 135. They already have a trail associated, they call it a trail, but it's associated sidewalk access, pedestrian access that's going to be from fairly close to the four-way stop there that's going to go out, and we're hoping that it's going to get to the trailer court. You know, we would have liked to seen it go to Tricon. That might be something that still gets to be included in there, but we're not quite sure. But so that granting opportunity for what used to be the old TSEP funds, the
Tiger Stadium down.
but the other, I'm sorry, I blanked on the old highway improvement project. You know. Huh?
CTAP?
CTAP, okay, so
Oh.
there was a little bit of CTAP money sitting out there from something on that. The resort district took that and parley-vooded and put it in together with a grant opportunity, and so I believe that they've received about a $465,000 grant for that improvement out there already. The build-out of that thing would be $1.5 million to $2 million for the build-out of that, so MDT is going to come up with money at some time, but they're basically doing all the design right now. What the territorial engineer would like to do with that is just jump on this CDB planning grant and then put this trail system in that would go associated with that. It's a good project. It certainly could be supported, but then again, here we are. You know, if you know, it's I can convince maybe the commissioners a little bit that that's an important project, but I think I just wanted to have a discussion with a number of people before that commitment was made, because he keeps asking me, he says, is that all right? Should we submit that on behalf of the county? And I'm like, wait a minute, I need to have a discussion. So it's kind of up to your input now, whatever you want to tell me about it, and the commissioners. So.
Well, while we're talking about it in context of the planning grant, we have a little bit of experience from last year. 2 years ago, the Lions Club approached the county commissioners and suggested that we submit a planning grant for a rodeo grounds remodel. We went to the Fair Board, and the Fair Board said, you need to submit on your own for a rodeo grounds improvement. We went to the town of Superior because we were told by CDBG that you can't have two grants concurrently, and that our other option would be to have the town of Superior submit, which we did, and we wrote the grant application for a planning grant. Our match proposal was only 25%, so it wasn't as strong as your planning grant for your county plan, but we made it through the first and through the second round, but were denied on the third round. And they don't give you a lot of input as to why they deny you, but it could be one of several things. It can be it wasn't competitive, that wasn't eligible, but they simply denied our planning grant application. So we're having to back up a bit and look at other planning opportunities. Where I think you've got a real opportunity and a strength now is if you bring the partners of the fairgrounds together and kind of collaborate and come up with something there's more buy-in to. And maybe even those partners can all contribute some money to make the match. so that the match is less painful and maybe a stronger match in the proposal. But our effort to get a planning grant wasn't real successful, certainly before CDBG.
But speaking for the Fair Board, the Fair Board's been trying for a number of years to come up with a viable plan to get the building rebuilt. Because as you know, it's old. It went in the early 50s. We've painted it, we've redone the roof, we've changed the heating system, you know, and a lot of stuff in there is quite archaic, actually. And we have interest from the shooting sports people to adapt a part of it for the use of shooting sports. We could work in conjunction with the Lions. So we have a pretty strong triad here of groups that want to improve that fairground. The fairground is for the use of all the county citizens. We do charge rent for specific events, but there are things that are done in there. 4-H has a usual use in there, and fair, and of course we have the annual fair every year. So it's too small for a lot of community events. This would allow the community to have a large facility so we can host some things that would be beneficial to the county as well as the community. It is a county agency, and we're interested in keeping it that way. We need to improve the whole facility, and if we have all these partners, we can have more support, I think, from the public and from the various groups that each segment has as funding resources. So we certainly are interested in pursuing this.
Well, you certainly have the need. I mean, when I first came in here, I remember that somebody was working on your roof and stuff, and we need something to help
Yeah.
get that building up and with not leaking and not falling in. I bought a lottery ticket and it was up to 300 billion, and my plan was to build
Go
it.
for it.
But,
Keep it up.
yeah, so, yeah, you don't need to sell us on the need, but if there's a way that we can help
Well, I think
endorse or facilitate.
it's a stronger movement with
Yeah.
the several parties involved,
Mhm.
and I think that would make it a better
Mhm.
presentation
Mhm.
to those who evaluate the project.
A question of Tim. Tim, do you write the grant application for CDBG, then the planning grant out? Do you know if there can be two applications concurrent with each other? Can they compete? Could you have the St. Louis app and the Fairgrounds app concurrent at the same time?
The county has to declare one application from the county.
Okay.
That's,
So you do have to pick one.
yeah, well, I mean, you gotta support, we're supporting this one, it's not, well, we would like this one too, if this one, you know, you pick one.
Okay, you've got to pick one.
That's my understanding. I tried to call either one of the CDBG people and just, you know, make sure that we're eligible, but I'm presuming we are, but, you know, my understanding is that you support the one grant application and put everything behind that.
Well, speaking from the Lions Club, we have put up $3,000. And our goal was to come up with an engineered plan that we could move forward seeking out construction money, because the toughest money to get is planning money. It's a little easier to get grants for construction because you've got a vision, you've got a plan, you've got an engineering number that you can go seek a construction grant for. But the planning grants are just a little tougher. So the more partners and the better you've laid your facility out, and the more support you've got from different community groups, it would just seem like it's going to be more likely to be a grant that will be successful. I don't see any reason why the Lions couldn't work with the Fair Board, they couldn't work with shooting sports to redesign that whole facility. You've got great opportunity to put the restrooms in another place, so you free up that space. You can take and you move the concessions, I believe they're gonna tell you, maybe somewhere that sits underneath bleachers or that's makes that space more useful. But it almost takes somebody who's an engineer and a design planner to design the whole site.
Do there still exist, speaking of the building, I thought that somebody, maybe it was the Millinger boy a while ago, did design a replacement building for the 4-H building? It was like a 2-story thing, I thought.
We have a plan,
Okay.
but it's a much older plan. I think Donnie here has talked about, why don't you come up, Donnie, and
We,
talk about some things.
Richard and I have started to design something, but we're finding to figure out what works for shooting sports and a community type center and concessions and a commercial kitchen to make sure we have all the things that would make that building the best we can make it and fit into the footprint we have there at the fairgrounds. Has certainly everybody's got some ideas there. Right now, we're talking either 80 by 120 with a basement and main floor,
Oh,
or 80 by 120 with a basement and a second story. Obviously, both you have to deal with egress and handicapped issues. We were talking about possibly putting a shooting sports in the basement and then having the community center in the main floor. As we found out last night, I had Joe Heim from Elite Shooting Sports in Stevensville come down. Who?
Sorry, what?
Joe Heim,
Joe?
H-E-I-N, or him.
And
Is it in? Anyway, a lot of range knowledge. Well, when we started talking about air systems and lead and stuff to expand into a small bore system, which is what the kids would actually shoot in college and or the Olympics, the dollars really start to get high. And having that in the same facility as concessions and a commercial kitchen are interesting. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. We're basically starting to design something that'll maybe work for everybody. And we're hoping to have some rough numbers on some of that in a couple weeks, actually, provided I get her done.
you quit going to meetings.
But we certainly have a good start, and we've talked about several options, different things. As Steve mentioned, you know, if there's a bleacher remodel, utilizing that space underneath, especially if it's a concrete structure where
Right.
bathrooms or concessions or possibly a small bore range could go onto the bleachers. Concessions go into a 4-H building on one side of it, so on. So there's no question how bad we need to change that building out. Not only is it falling down around our ears, but our shooting sports program alone has overgrown the building. We with archery, beginner shooters and advanced shooters, there's not enough time to practice.
Well, and there's no other place that you can do
That's a
it.
tough one, it really is.
So, you could divide this though initially to have the archery and the non-lead type thing. I mean,
That air gun.
Air gun, that could be all set in there, but maybe there's a provision that if you wanna move into this other one, then there's gonna be add-on or, we could do some
Yep.
basics in there, so it could be a stage type thing.
Yeah.
We can't get it all right now, but
Yeah,
And
and stages is how we want to pursue it.
and maybe not as big right now, like in the small bore side, as possibly it could grow into, or it doesn't have to. The lead and the air system to a small bore and pistol is a big deal. You have to exchange that column of air, and depending on the size of that column of air,
ventilation.
how big a system you have to have.
So when you do that, I got a question. Do you just vent it to the outside, or do you filter it with an air
It's
traffic?
filtered and it has to be
Has to be filtered.
downwind from the shooters themselves, so it doesn't come back.
And it has to be heated or cooled before it can come back.
Right, because you're sucking so much air from the outside. So in the summertime, you gotta cool it, or you have a shooting range that's 100 degrees. In the wintertime, you're sucking cold air in, so you're shooting in 30 degrees. So it's quite a system.
So with this Joe Hine, would he be somebody that would just be a resource, or would he be somebody that could be hired to?
Both, to answer that, Steve, because or Tim, because he is gonna be a consultant. His dad has built a couple ranges, Michigan State University and Hillsborough? Hillsdale. So both. He's got really good contacts on traps and air system guys that we can go. I'm gonna actually try to get something drawn up to it, and then him and I are gonna get together again, and we're gonna price it. Get a rough number of what this costs, so on and so forth.
So I guess I would anticipate, well, I don't know how much more you want to hear of this. I mean, it seems to me like it's, the other thing I guess I would need to throw out to you is that, do you want to give the St. Regis people an opportunity to come in and talk to you and try to plead their case?
Persuade, otherwise dissuade. So you're not talking about that cutoff road when it already goes out there past the OK Cafe, you're talking about the second phase?
I'm talking things that are coming off of that.
Oh.
That's gonna be out here. They want a trail to go to the river, they want a
Oh,
trail
oh.
to go
Yeah.
here, they want maybe a bridge that would
Mhm.
cross something. That's what the concept is.
Mhm.
I struggle with it a little bit because I think it's the engineer that would like to, just keep the
Mhm.
project going out there and pull in some more
Right.
funding for them and stuff, and that's fine, and it has some merit, but I'm sensing that there's a higher priority here, and
Yeah, I would agree with you there, if we have a good chance of acquiring this. With the CDBG, this would satisfy both the Lions Club's need for the bleachers and the building, or
Well,
would they
it-
see that as distinct, separate?
I guess what I'm proposing is let's pull everybody together on the planning size of things and do, we would have some time to work on that thing, but I think one of the really good opportunities, and we had a pretty, I would say, successful process when we went to the fair and asked people to give us our comments about a growth policy, and that we had good comments and good time. I think we could use the fair to do that again this year. Let's just have those people, put that public input part of it and sell that to the CDBG, that the public is gonna really give us the input, what they would like to see in the preference. So I think if we run it across that time and do that, so then, there's a couple things mechanically we need to.
Tim, that doesn't make the cutoff deadline though for the planning grant, does it? I thought I heard the planning grant deadline
No,
was
I mean,
July.
that would be part of it, is that we're
Right.
gonna,
That's-
during the planning process,
Got it.
we're gonna have a big public input. It's not,
Then that is good timing.
yeah, so the timing would really be good for that, because, actually, they say that the award might, not be out by then, but I think we would have a good idea whether it's gonna be awarded.
So
or
what do
not.
we need to do for the first deadline?
Decide who's gonna take the lead on putting the grant application together.
I thought we knew who that was.
Everybody put their hands up right now and do that.
I thought you had a successful model from the last one.
Yeah, I do right there, so. I don't know whether you want me to try to take information from your grant application and incorporate it in there.
Well, we got denied third time around, so I'd be careful.
Yeah.
It seems like the support of the county commissioners is really important early on, and maybe you could get it agendized and seek their support
Yeah.
early on.
Has
Part of it, so.
anybody approached the Fish, Wildlife and Parks? They've got grant monies available for shooting ranges.
We've talked about that, Lori, and we want to have a plan before we go to them.
You almost have to.
Because they really don't want to talk to you until you have a definitive plan. So, and that's what we're after right now, trying to get this figured out and show that, we want to build a 80 by 120 building, and it's going to be a community center type of use, plus youth shooting sports. And we're going to hold hunter safety training in
Which we
there,
do
and
already.
so on and so forth, which we do already. And then Fish, Wildlife and Parks, Friends of the NRA, as we found out last night from Joe, the Easton Corporation on the archery side is huge. If you can show that half of that facility is archery and you have a possibility for an outside range, they'll probably cover half of the facility, it sounds like. So, some of those feelers are already out there. Right now, the way I see it is we need to go after this planning grant money to get the whole ball started, get all the entities together and make a good plan that fits not only for what we all want or maybe want in the future, but also reasonable money-wise. So.
I think there's a lot of community support for improvement of that fairground. We hear it all the time, especially during the fair. I mean, people are just avid about it.
One argument to go with the Fairgrounds Improvement Project is it's a benefit countywide. St. Regis, well, however it's important, we're property owners down there now, is just probably unique to that location, but the fair is an improvement that will benefit the entire county.
And I think we need to stay on that site. It's been proposed to go out here and go out there, but everybody's really wants it to stay where it is. So it's up to us to improve this site.
Well, and speaking of that, Deb, I've always been wondering what the school's gonna do with the building across the street. I mean, to me, if we did keep it there, it'd be ideal if we could acquire where that junior high is for expansion, and maybe, I don't know where you guys were planning up the 80 by 120, is that, would it go where the
That would be the building in the footprint we have now.
Yep.
Yes.
Tim, speaking of that, what if that ground did become available, is there any money in this grant that land could be purchased, is it specific to building?
No, it would just be identifying everything that's potential out there. That could be an element that we could ask, ask the whole process to identify and see what that.
Because if we did have that, the bleachers might be able to be a little bit bigger or broader if the building was across the street, bigger and broader. But I don't know. That might be a long ways down the road. The school might be in that building for.
They would like to get rid of it and build a new one.
It could be a dangerous mixed signal, though, given the failure of the tax overrides to pass.
Right.
And you're planning on the building being relocated, moved out, that could get a little messy.
Yeah.
It might be a second good planning grant down the road.
But I'm not sure that the school's ready to part with that property.
Right.
Well,
So that might be just speculation.
Right.
So as far as either committees or boards, there's the Fair Board, the Lions Club, shooting sports, is there?
4-H.
4-H.
Is, Tim, would this be just a county application, or is the city of Superior able to?
That's my number one question. Who's gonna
Oh.
administer the grant?
Okay.
So,
Well, it's
Kevin, do you have any
county-
ideas on that, success
County
rates?
property, I
Needs to be a
don't,
county application.
because it's county property, always has been.
Oh,
I didn't hear what.
Needs to be a county application.
because of that fact.
If the
that-
city owns
So you wanna
property,
play
then it would
rock,
be a
stick,
city
stones
property,
with
it would be a city.
administration?
Pardon?
You wanna play rock, stick, stones with administration of it?
Yeah, whatever works, so,
Maybe we could be co-administrators or something.
whatever. We've done them before. You've done them before, so. These aren't that tough to administer, so.
No, it really isn't, so. I think though, it's a little bit contrary to me, I wanted to be, maybe less involved in something, but it almost needs that we need to be a committee. That's why I was asking about, representative off for those that needs to help administer the situation so that everybody has their, but, do we want another meeting and another thing on top of everything? Attend the meetings that you guys already have?
I think we almost have to have a committee made up of representatives from each group, every time. They can represent their group and what their group has prioritized. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, there's gonna be the hiring of the contractor and all that stuff, and then once we get the contractor, we have to communicate to them what each entity needs and wants. And so that's gonna be a process, so they'll have to be representatives from each entity that's part of it, so.
If you have the time, wouldn't it work to pull this group together at an agendized meeting with you, devote an hour to it, let everybody be heard, and then send these fellows off to write the grant? Let's get it going.
Yeah,
Because you don't have a lot of time between now and July.
right,
1st of July.
And maybe we just do this all in one setting
yeah.
and get moving.
And Tim's right, we probably ought to give Dwayne and his St. Regis constituents the opportunity to
Be heard.
either weigh in and decide that's a good idea or be heard otherwise. But,
And you might as well know, I think Carol Johnson she will not die until this project's done.
Oh, good.
She is determined to have it done.
good.
So she's a good, strong leader in that.
Okay,
And I think she'll make it happen.
good.
Well, I think for the sake of the application to Department of Commerce, there's adequate information to bring the need forward to do the application. I think once we get the once we get the grant, that's the point where we come forward and we kind of do our request for qualifications for an engineering firm or whatever it is to present that part forward. That's where we need to have each entity express what they need to have out of this planning process. I think we have adequate information and adequate inputs to get going on the application, short of St. Regis getting their point in.
So, when are all the commissioners gonna be back?
They'll all be back on the 17th of June, but,
And the 24th?
and the 24th, but you're saying before July, so.
Right.
So the 17th, they have a 2:30 available. It's literally packed until 2:30.
I think we better go with 17th,
Take
because
what we can get.
sooner the better, so.
Okay.
So we will do generic CDBG planning process, and then tell all those people that you can show up and plead your cause too and stuff. Because we can't take an action today. We can't make, this was a public hearing, so we can't decide one way or the other, but
So it's gonna be the St. Regis
no, it's gonna be
CDBG
CDBG grant
planning, got that, but what are the two projects?
Well, the St. Regis Trails improvement and Fairgrounds improvement.
So as long as we're still discussing and nothing's going to be said, I just want to give my point of view from a public observation standpoint. I think it's really wise to build the footprint as big as you are and get the, which means go to the basement, the main floor, and a second story, because you can always fix what's inside, for add-ons. We get the whole thing there. So, I'm in favor of that concept if that ground will be conducive to having a basement. And the second thing then is on your air conditioning. You mentioned that you just have this constant airflow from inside and outside, always have the heater cooling it. They've got some good filters now that just recirculates that air after it's been filtered, so you aren't wasting all that energy heating and cooling and stuff. Is anybody thinking about that, having a good high vac air conditioning happening that will filter that stuff out? Because I know they're out there for those closed environments like that.
Certainly, and the big air exchange is only when you're shooting small bore. It's not 24/7. That's something everybody needs to realize. But the cost of the system to change that air column is expensive when you're shooting, because it takes a big system. But you're right, there's lots of things out there. Another thing that's out there too is a rubber trap instead of a steel trap, so there's not that as much lead particulates in the air. Makes it easier to clean, so on and so forth. So all of those things we're looking at. And the new air exchange system for a range meeting the spec that you have to meet for air quality is pretty set in stone. this much big error column, you gotta move it this often, so, anyway,
But it
yes,
can be it can be a recirculating.
yes. Should be able to recirculate
Right.
some of that, yeah, as long as it's properly filtered.
What we can get done between now and the 17th is a support letter from all of us to the county, so that Tim can include those in his application grant. So maybe
Okay.
the three of us could work in getting a support letter. I'll bring it up to the 4-H group and
To the Lions or 4-H?
to both.
Oh,
Yeah. I'll definitely get the Lions support letter, but T-Bone's a part of our Lions Club group, and I'll get him to get us a support letter.
And we can handle the 4-H and the shooting sports.
Perfect. Go
So,
for it.
okay.
And I'll talk to Carol,
Kevin and I.
get him the fair support.
Yep. And we could get that to Tim before the 17th,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
we're ready to go on their app when they approve it, if they approve it.
So I have a question for clarity. Is the Fair Board merely managers of the property, or do they own part of that
The
property?
county owns it.
Pardon?
The county owns it,
They own the building and the land?
everything there.
Okay, and so the Fair Board then is just a
Yeah,
helper
we
to
manage
manage
it.
it? Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on the 17th.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Bring all your friends.
That all about?
That one was just public comment, no decision to be made, but it was thrown together quickly by our planner.
Okay.
Discussing a community development block grant that can be applied for by counties and or cities, and the Fair Board was here along with the Lions Club, and they were discussing the possibility of trying to apply for a grant to improve the bleachers and the building that we have on the fair. It's a 1951 Quonset hut that is dilapidating, and so we've been battling restoring that and fixing it up liability-wise, leaky roof-wise. And so today was an idea that maybe we would fit the bill for applying for a community development, CDBG for short, grant.
Yeah, I was gathering that, so, well, good to know.
And then it'll be on the agenda next week, Friday, the 17th, for more official discussion and or decision to move forward with that grant.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I guess that I'll have to come earlier next time.
Yeah. Are you on the list for a month?
You know what, I am not, and do you do it by email by any chance?
Yeah, so that's why she can, if you're on that mass distribution, you will get,
I'm not, but I will.
you can get the agenda mailed to
Yeah, if you
you.
wanna give Charlie your email address, she can put you
Do I
on.
just go
Yeah,
there?
Charlie's the secretary, and if you just jot it down and hand it to her, she'll add you in. He seems to be of the belief that we cut it like 100, what did you say, Lori, 100?
Some thousand.
113, I think is what
Yeah,
he
that's what
said.
he said. 100. That's not correct in previous years, is it? So it's been more every year, not less.
Yeah, so let's see, so I could,
That's just a side note, he
I
mentioned that.
could go get the budget sheet, I don't know what you guys cut it by, all I know is what's in Black Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But we could go get the budget sheet, pull the budget sheet, and see what they asked for and what you guys approved.
Because that's what, I think that's where he's thinking that is what he asked
So why don't I grab
for.
that, we can have Charlie flip through and look for that and the big stack of
But
stuff.
I think that we need to show him so that he doesn't think that we're not,
Let's grab that first.
because everybody's thinking.
In the meantime, I think Marcia wanted to just make a statement.
I just want to let you guys know that I am applying elsewhere. I have had all I can take. I am very disappointed personally in the way that this has all shaken out. I feel like, we're standing at the brink of everything that we've all worked hard for since I have been here, just going right down the toilet, and I'm not gonna stand by and watch that happen. I've done a lot of thinking, and I really can't tell you a time frame right now. I really can't tell you much of anything else, but I just feel like there's probably a better place for me to be, and where my efforts are a little bit more supported and appreciated, and I'm just done. I will do everything I can to make a transition smooth when and if it occurs. I certainly would not be sitting here telling you this if I felt like I was going to leave anybody in the lurch. But I just figured that the fair thing to do would be to let you know that this situation has really kind of cemented that for me. I feel like every one of us, all of us department heads have been here, and we have done things like our people have gone into dispatch to work, and we have done what we could do to ensure that public safety was impacted as little as possible in the county. And I feel like we really, no offense guys, but we haven't seen you. We've all been here living this, and we just haven't seen you. And I feel like if you, I don't know. I feel like what's best for the county is what's important. And I just feel like maybe in the last couple weeks that has really not been the focus. And that's very disappointing to me. And that's really all I need to say, but I will keep you informed.
Okay.
And that's that.
Jess, can you make that bigger? Ah, that's a little better.
Okay, so when we do budgets this year, we're gonna look, I think in the past, all of the emphasis was put on expenditures. And to do a budget, it's much more than looking just at expenditures. So we're gonna look at revenue, and then also very important, we're gonna look at cash. And so what happens is, right here, we gave them, and this is just kind of the standard spreadsheet that you do for all of your funds before you send it to the state, but I don't think it's ever really been brought to the commissioner's attention, this overall format. So what you do, so like last year we gave them 57.79 mils, public safety, right?
Mhm.
And so just, let's assume we give them exactly the same. So let's assume we give them the same, and then a mill value, we'll just assume the mill value is the same, because we won't know that until about August 1st, okay? So we'll just assume the mill value is the same. So the 9,570 times the 5779 equals this property tax revenue. So that's their main revenue source. And then the other thing, so then we come over here and we say, okay, so these two columns, E and F, so over here, you start off and you say, okay, well, what's their available cash? So say they had $500,000 in available cash, right? So if their revenues don't materialize or whatever, in the end, it's going to be okay, because what will happen when those revenues don't materialize is they'll just eat into that beginning cash balance, what we call cash reserve. And that's fine. But we don't have any cash reserves left. Pretty much across the county, there's really no cash reserves. So what happens, so you take, this is the beginning cash balance. How do I put this in? I just did this like seriously 5 minutes ago. So this is beginning cash. Okay, so here's our beginning cash. And what I'm using is I'm just using the cash balance at the end of May. So we still have June, so we kind of need to tweak that number by what we think cash will be at the end of June. It will probably be worse. It will probably be more negative, would be my guess, because really we have all of our big revenues in. Or it could be about the same, and maybe we'll get a board of prisoner payment, and that will help offset payroll and everything for June. So I don't know, we'll assume that the cash balance is roughly the same on June 30th as it is today. So then you come in and you say, okay, what are our non-tax revenue? And non-tax revenue is everything else. So this is like board of prisoner revenue, whatever else it is. And so what I did is I just took this year's actual to date, which is, and these are all estimates at this point, $770,000 minus the property taxes, gives us non-tax revenue of about $217,000. So these two columns add up to this column G. And so we have column G is our total non-tax, column H is our total tax, and column I is our total revenue. So this is what our total revenue is at, $736,000. Okay? Last year, the year we're in right now, we gave him a budget of $958,082. It's actually $958,082. So if we keep on giving him that much money, look at how our cash will be at the end of next year. That's our ending cash at the end of the year. So that's how we look at budgets. That's big picture. You know, you could argue and then you could say, well, but we gave them, just so you know, we went from so I think, oh shoot, let's see, where is that one? So in fiscal year 15, we gave them 46.5 mils. Last year, we gave them 57. So we gave them 11 additional mils last year. So we've given them every single mil you can possibly ever imagine to give them. We gave them so many mils that we no longer, in the year we're in now, we didn't have any mils left to cover our retirement fund. So that's all paid for with PILT. And the difference in our health insurance, that's also paid for with PILT. So there's no PILT money. So the main thing, the sheriff's office in past, they're like, well, transfer some money to us and, clear up our negative cash balance. There's no money to transfer. We can't transfer any PILT. That's because we've given all of the mills. We've given them every mill that we could give them.
That's what, I wish everybody could be in here to hear that.
I'm glad Mary's here recording.
People don't understand how this stuff works and how complicated it is, and they just think that there's a pot of gold we're not showing them.
So it actually looks like that you guys budgeted $185,000 on the budget sheet. I don't know.
No, maybe budget for $185,000 for what?
Well, that was for. Jess, can you come?
Yeah.
You mean the total non-tax revenue?
So this is what we're estimating for this year. So this isn't going to tie. This won't tie to last year, because this is looking forward, right?
But this is if.
But let's see.
Okay.
This is just looking forward.
So these are the two ones that I found for public safety.
Are either one of them signed? No. So I don't know if these are the right ones. It's just.
Okay, I'll keep different. Because we're looking for one signed by Roman, right?
Yeah, but
this one has
It's almost enough to make you want. Some of them open up and if you want to quit, other people can do it better, let them try.
Okay.
I don't know if
Yep.
that,
Oh, there's two. It'd be both of them combined. One is care of prisoners and one is, law enforcement.
so am I missing one?
No. So look, account number.
Right.
So it's care of prisoners, it's these two combined.
Okay.
So it's 705 plus 276, so that's 976.
Yeah.
Minus the cuts maybe or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because it looks like there was cuts of about 12 too.
What is
that?
That's
about right.
But a lot of these don't tie.
Right.
Into what was actual.
Not
I don't
necessarily,
think
but
so, but I
it's
know
close.
people that do.
Yeah, so,
So the whole cutting 100 and whatever thousand is.
So, I mean, no, like you guys look on those sheets, so let's go like, so to address the question of, I don't know, go to page 4, I don't have a number though. So total expenses, total budgeted expenditures were $958,082. Yes. So that's the total
Mm-hmm.
budget that we gave them in the year we're in now. And then I do have the previous year. And in the previous year, his total budget was 885. So you actually gave him an increase of, I don't know, 70.
Where's the previous one?
Go to the very last page.
Oh, very last, oh, okay.
And you can see this is
Okay.
615.
Yeah, 885 and 9.
Yeah, so you gave him another, 70,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave him way more mills.
From last year to this year, Jess?
Yeah, so we went
Well,
from,
Are you gonna be available on Wednesday,
Wednesday.
the 10th? There's gonna be a state mediator here, and I think these people.
On the 15th?
These
On the
people
15th.
just don't understand. I mean, and you explain it so well. I mean, they think that we're not wanting to do it because we dislike them or they're not worth it, when really it's just, we've been giving them more and more, and there's no more mills to give them. Unless we're gonna abandon the fair and the library and the general fund and the,
yeah,
I mean, what do we have a total of last year? 89 mills and they got 57? I mean,
99.
99?
95.
95?
95 and they got 57.79 of the 95.
Yeah, 99, 97.
We,
No, it's 97. It was 97.68, and they received 57.79.
so we've got 39.89 mills to run the rest of the county.
Mhm.
That's right. And a mill's about 10,000, right?
9,500? 9,800?
It's round up to make it,
Oh.
easy math.
Yeah.
So,
How come it's always so much, how come it's always so high? How come,
Hi, Missoula.
I mean, how come they keep getting more and more and more?
It
What's
depends
the-
on the value.
Right,
So,
no, but.
why does the sheriff's budget keep growing so much
Oh.
all the
Yes,
time?
yes.
Well, there's little things like the cost of fuel, and then of course there's been raises every year for the last 5 years, or in shift differential, or.
I think they've hired people.
Mhm.
That's the main thing. I think that they've probably hired people, and that's what's making have they hired people? I mean, that's my first, guess. One employee is really expensive.
What did we used to have for deputies?
I remember before Ernie. I don't remember. Some of those were COPS grants that we added,
Yeah.
thinking that they wouldn't. But now they're expired COPS grants, and now we're paying for them probably.
Right, because we don't have a COPS grant anymore.
Mhm.
And I do believe that that's part of the COPS grant is that you hire them and then you, a part of the agreement is that you keep them on for
So many years.
so many years after the term's over.
So. So I, you know, a couple of people have said, well, you could close the jail down. I don't know what that would entail. But I think two things have to happen, in my opinion. One, we could ask the people for a mill levy, right? And let the people decide if they wanna pay.
But would that help us now?
No, but it is something to, you know, something to consider.
Right.
Or I really think they need to cut their staff. I mean, I think they'll have to downsize.
How much, speaking of the jail, what are they making on revenue with the inmates versus?
So go to page 3, even though it's not numbered.
Oh, how about the top where they are numbered? Page, here it says page 2.
No, but it's page, they're all page 1 and 2.
Oh, the third page?
Yeah, go third page in.
Okay.
So you're gonna see Board of Prisoner revenue, you're gonna, $138,000, which is what they've collected, and then care of prisoners, it's all broke out, so go to the next page, and so care of prisoners is $252,000. So we're losing
$252,000 and we're only bringing $138,000.
That's correct. That's correct. So we're losing $120,000 right there, so that's 12 mils.
Just shake the mouse.
Oh.
So then if, say we were to close down the jail and all the prisoners would have to go to Missoula.
So there's a cost in that.
Yeah, then you'd be paying.
But then we'd have
we
to
just pay them.
pay them for.
And we'd have to figure out the rate and how many prisoners we actually have.
We have 18 right now.
Are they ours though?
Oh.
Like we only would pay for ours, right?
Right.
So only our county people
Okay.
would have to be bussed or.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
the State Department of Corrections or Highway Patrol and all that would be paid for by those agencies.
that's right. So really only our county people would go there. So really we would need to see how many county prisoners we have, you know, because it's daily. It's like 59 a day, 65 a day, something. You know, how many nights did we have an actual county prisoner in there? Multiply that and there you go. I don't know how often county's in there. It's an option. It's not gonna be, I don't know. I don't know if the taxpayers mind so much if you were to do it, but the employees sure would. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and then, well, I know it's handy for Kathleen Brown for district court day to have the prisoners right there to go up and see the judge, although I don't know what's allowed via, you know, televised video line versus in person.
If they have to be driven back and forth and stuff, I
Yeah.
don't know. So it's so far off. I mean, it's not as simple, well, let's cut supplies 50,000, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it's just gotten so far out there. Well, I mean, like say, yeah, they're gonna spend every dime of that 958,000, but lots of estimates going on here, though. Keep that in mind. I mean, our beginning cash balance is an estimate, the mill levy is an estimate. But I can come to that meeting if you'd like on Wednesday.
I think that they really need to understand that this is not a smokescreen that we're just espousing it. It's, like you said, it's so real, we don't even know what we're gonna do next year. I mean, and the state mediator might, you know, even if the other side of the aisle doesn't wanna listen to it, at least the state mediator might find it educating, and he's gonna be the one who decides whether we're being reasonable or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it truly is an economic situation. It's not. They're not worth it. It's just pure.
Wonder if we should contact some of the other counties that house their prisoners somewhere and just see
How it works.
and.
Get Charlie to do that.
Thanks, Jess.
Because I know, I'm trying to think who does that. I mean, they talk about it all the time at convention, you know, that,
Well, maybe, you know, Garfield County or Petroleum County.
So if you put it up for election,
Harold would probably know
Yeah.
what counties house their prisoners somewhere else.
Okay.
if you put up a levy for public safety for increasing their budget, people would have to vote on it. So the earliest chance they would have would be the November election. Is that correct?
No, they can run a special election.
Special
That's-
election.
There are
That'll cost
statutes, but
It
That'll
would be
cost
on
more
this
than
year's
two.
tax roll though, or tax bill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, right? 'Cause it won't be
no, it won't go into effect until
the following year.
17, 18.
Yeah, we wouldn't, our first payment would be in November of 17.
Right. So even if you do it now, it's not, this isn't gonna help our 16, 17 budget.
Well, if we don't do it now, it'll still affect it too.
I don't know. I mean, it'll,
I guess my point is, if the people want to or don't want to increase the public safety dollars like you're showing up here, and then the next one that's gonna squawk would be the ones over there in the courthouse. Well, how come we're not getting paid more too? You know, and it's just an endless problem. Yeah,
Well, no,
I
because
think
we
the whole
wouldn't have to
thing-
be, currently, we're taking the general fund money to
I know.
keep the sheriff's office up, so if we didn't have to keep robbing from the general fund money, those people might be able to get a raise, because we're not giving it for this overflow over here.
I agree.
The public safety levy hopefully would help them sustain, so we're not robbing Peter so much.
if everybody would just play nice and work together and make it work for 1 year and, you know.
Well, if you do the public safety thing, is there something that you can do on emergency or interim basis, and then have that money sitting in the bank that you can draw on, and you pay it back when the bill comes, when the taxpayer comes on? In other words, could you initiate the payment sooner if the levy has passed, and you're betting on the promise that it will be coming in a year? Can you borrow that money from the bank to say, okay, now we're covered? I don't know how to, to.
You could borrow it from another fund, the road fund. You could borrow it from the road fund.
But you'd have to pay it back.
After,
Yeah.
of course, after the mill levy passed,
Mhm.
you could do that. I think that's, I think a mill levy isn't a bad idea, but I think that we just need to simply cut some stuff. I don't think anything has really been cut for a long time. It seems like we just keep add, we have, Kathleen Brown. That used to be a one-person department, now there's two. In JP, used to be Wanda and 2 clerks, and now it's Dale, and it's gonna be 3 clerks and a misdemeanor probation officer. We used to have in
3
this-
clerks, there's just Kim Terry.
Cindy.
Oh.
Next year, Cindy will be full-time down there.
Oh,
Because misdemeanor will be rolled up into JP. So it's gonna be 3 clerks and a misdemeanor probation officer. In the past, when it came to an investigator, the county attorney would call Boone or Tom
Mhm.
Bauer and say, hey, go out and investigate this.
Mhm.
Great. Now we have this whole expense, $18,000, $20,000 that we've paid. for this investigator. You know,
Yeah, and that was, that was kind of a
that's across the board,
creation.
and then
dis-
public safety, I think, is the same. I don't know public safety as well, because I never really see them. There's not a body in an office that I can see a difference in. But I'm quite sure of the fact that it's bigger than it used to be. And that's what I think the commissioners really need to look at. And maybe a mill levy too, but I think to get that mill levy to ever sell, you guys are gonna have to do this first.
I
Do you know
agree.
what I mean? Because otherwise people would be like, why do they just keep hiring, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, eventually the taxpayers are gonna get tapped out too, and we have to.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think, the other thing, is that still on? Oh, I won't say it then. I better not say it. But that's my 2 cents.
What amount of money, how does that translate into what a taxpayer would pay to create X amount of dollars? So in other words, what if every homeowner agreed to pay another $10 a year?
We would ask Lois that at Department of Revenue. Lois is the one that always gives the numbers for that, Oh, yeah, and the county attorney, right? I mean, we went from a county attorney with a secretary to, we have a deputy county attorney. What do we have up there?
Intern.
There's a deputy
Intern,
and
but
an
it's a
intern,
paid
and we've
intern.
had lots of interns.
But they're not, when people say intern, you think free, they're not. It's $22 an hour?
23.
23 for an intern. So that's super, it's grown significantly. And I think what happened is, like Kathy Jasper, so you had Shirley Mancini, and then you had Kathy Jasper, and both of those women were extremely frugal and watched that budget like it was their own, across everything, right? And they kept it pretty tight, and people would get really upset with them, but dang it, that's what they did. They had cash reserves, and then I think what's happened since is, it's just been spending.
Well, we never really got a thorough understanding of,
Exactly.
I mean, nobody explained like you just did today.
Exactly. And Kathy Jasper used to come down and spend days, days with the commissioners explaining and so you guys, I don't think it's your fault or anything like that. I don't. I think you guys have been just not fully informed.
Yeah, and I mean, in the past, we've tried.
I know you've tried to
No.
be, yeah, but
Can we have, but we didn't understand.
Didn't get a response.
Didn't get, we don't know what we're looking at, or we don't know what we're doing, or I can give you a report, but you don't know how to read it. Well, then come and explain
show me.
how to read it then.
Right.
But it was just like,
Right.
so,
Right.
it's not that we
Well,
haven't
I mean,
tried.
even
I
my
know,
simple question.
and I know. I
yeah.
think you guys try very hard. Just
Well,
so you
even
know.
my simple question last summer, how come we're 200 and some thousand short in the general fund? Oh, don't worry about it, it's just PILT, I haven't moved over there yet. Come to find out it was a state in,
State
that-
entitlement.
yeah.
So is each of the departments going to get this kind of a spreadsheet layout? Or did you just do it just for the sheriff's office on this issue?
So the departments won't get this layout, but when we do our preliminary budget, so they just got kind of an updated budget sheet. Not like that, but not like how we used to do it, but it's different. And so I handed that out, and they're supposed to get that back to me by June 15th. And then we'll upload it all into Black Mountain, and we'll do this for every single fund. But I'm not giving this to the department heads yet. First, they need to get me numbers, then we'll prepare this for all of them.
Because this, to me, seems a whole lot more simple than some of the other budgets that I used to work with. Is that like that reverse Polish notation? How do you know what you're even looking at? And because you just fool yourself with numbers.
Yeah.
This
This is
better.
just a great, it's simple, really, isn't it? Pretty simple.
It's better, yeah.
So yeah, so we'll have this for all of the funds, and then we're having our public hearing on what day?
July
14th.
14th and 15th, each department head has a time.
Yeah.
They'll be coming in for 30 minutes to
Yeah,
meet the
and so we'll
commissioners.
look over all of the budget stuff, and we'll look at it in this big picture too.
So, what was the total mills we had last year, 97 what?
So in this year, our total was
97.68.
6.8,
97.68.
and they got 57.7.
0.79.
Meaning they got more mills to run their one department than we got to run the whole rest of the county.
Mhm.
They could argue, it's hard to say, but just keep this in mind, they could say, well, you had to give us more bills because you also gave us misdemeanor probation, right?
No,
No.
And when you're doing this total budget, bottom line, the 958, that is including things like the 911 money that comes in and stuff that we put in over there.
It's a totally separate fund.
That is totally separate.
Mhm.
So that's
This is
even-
just law enforcement and care of prisoners in the public safety. So the 911, some of that dispatch.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's separate.
that's not even, otherwise this inflates even more if you count that money.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I haven't,
See, that was another question that came up in my thing, and that'd be helpful for you to be able to say that.
looks like you guys gave the 911 $128,956. Does that sound right? According to this.
I just did, when you talk about the bottom line for public safety, that's not including the 911 money.
no.
Or 103, 198.
So really the budget is over $1 million now.
Yeah, let's look at that 911.
$108,000.
And so this, budgets, so we budgeted 90,000. See, this number looks good, right? So look at this budget's all funny, because they only budgeted
Can you make
90.
it bigger?
Oh, bigger, okay. Where's my bigger button on here?
Maybe right click it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so this is, let's see. Okay, so look at this budget is kind of funny. So the revenue, it's already set up to fail, really. So the revenue, they budgeted 90,000, right? But they budgeted 108,000 in expenditures. So you're already spending, right? You're already upside down. You're already spending cash reserves. So hopefully you had cash reserves to spend. Because if you did have a whole bunch of cash reserves,
Then you'd be fine.
then this is fine. This is completely allowable. But if you don't have any cash reserves, this is a bad deal because you're just going to have negative cash. So let's look at see what their cash is. What fund was that again? Do you guys?
It's 2850.
So this fund, they must have had some cash in it. So this isn't so bad.
Mhm.
So they don't have negative cash. So that's great, right?
So you
So what they
already,
did though is, but they were spending those reserves. And once again, we need to do a lot of things. We need to get out of negative cash, but we need to get cash reserves back up.
Is there a state statute that said you should carry this much reserve?
You cannot carry more than 33% of appropriations.
That's the ceiling, what about a floor?
There's no, but it's a standard. If you were to call any county, everybody you wanna carry,
Mhm.
you wanna be there. That's what you want. You wanna carry 33%.
So,
That's like a really healthy, strong county, right?
so the total mills, to make it easy math, let's say the mill's
10,000.
9,000 or 10,000, okay?
Mhm.
And we gave them 100 mills. We're talking about a budget. I mean, they're almost exceeding what we take in the revenue for the entire county in our mills, allowable mills. I mean, not revenue that the road fund gets, but,
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
if you're talking $1 million,
Right, so we only get 97 mills roughly, and that changes every
Mhm.
year a little bit. So we get 970,000.
right, $970,000.
And we're giving them 570,000.
570, okay. Even though that total budget said 900 and,
Because that was non-tax revenue. Let's look at
okay.
it. So here, so look, so
Oh, okay, there's our mills.
this is the mills, and this is the 57.79.
Mhm, right.
Times that equals the 553,000. And then we have non-tax revenue, which is motor vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
interest, whatever, you know,
Mhm.
board of prisoners.
Okay. And what about their,
But this, and this appropriate, the only reason this number's here
mm-hmm.
is because that's just what we gave them last year.
Mhm.
So, you know, if you change it to 800,000. So I feel horrible for you guys. I really do.
Somebody does.
Yeah.
So, really, even if you cut them $158,000, and you go down to $800,000,
We're still.
it's still going to be a negative cash.
That's giving them 58 mils.
So they really need to be cut down to 750,000 in order to zero out that cash. Is that what, is that right?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. You know, that'll get you,
Closer.
yeah. And but we have to remember, just remember that this is super preliminary, because this cash available could change. Maybe, like I said, they could get a huge board of prisoner payment in, and their cash isn't so negative at the end of the year,
Mhm.
right?
But still, you, going into next year,
You s-
you don't wanna go in next year with the negative cash.
No.
You need,
And this is all based off of the fact that that mill value stays the same.
And it's not gonna do anything significant.
It won't, okay.
It might, maybe it'll go up.
Maybe it'll
Oh,
go
it's
up.
not gonna go up that much.
Yeah,
not
but nothing.
enough to make,
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so it's based on that and.
It's always right around 95, 9,800, 10,000.
Yeah.
Never usually outside of that.
So let's say it goes up to 9,800. Does that help at all? If they cut down to 750, that helps tremendously.
Right. If it goes up to 10,000,
You're talking about a $208,000 cut.
But that's
And their
still
proposals
saying,
on the table are calling for
109.
130, yeah, 109,000
Increase.
more.
but that's with still giving them the same amount of mills. That's not taking away any of
Oh,
their
I see
mills.
what you're saying.
Because let's say what if you cut their mills down to 45?
I like this. This is so fun for me. These scenarios. Okay.
Oh. They're still gonna be,
Yeah, it just an impossible.
You give them, if you just give them a nice round 60, and this goes up to, I don't know, say 5,700 or 9,700. Wow. Still doesn't help them much because really this cash reserve is, you know, it's really.
but
what
that's
we want.
still giving them 60, that's taking away from
yeah, so where are we
everyone
gonna-
else.
No, I'm just giving
Yeah,
scenarios.
that's what
I
I'm
don't.
saying, is
I
okay,
don't
where
think.
do we get,
'Cause
Where did the cash
Take the
reserves
other
come
3
from
mills
get-
from.
Get built up in the first place? Where did they come from?
the who?
Where did the cash reserves come from in the first place that got built up that we're draining down now? Is that from all the timber receipts?
No, it's just from not spending, it's from collecting more in revenue than what they spent in past years. So, you know, you collect $20,000 more in revenue than what you spent. Your cash reserve's gonna go up $20,000.
So the reverse of that should be true too. If you're draining down your cash reserves and not putting into it, does that mean they're working harder or less harder?
Means they're spending more money than what they're taking in.
Yeah.
And then that decreases your cash reserve. And that's what's happened.
Really, I think like all of the elected officials need to have like budget 101 with Jessica. Like they need to understand what all of this means, because when they're going around and they're saying, well, you cut $130,000 from our budget, no, they really didn't.
Well, I think what we'll do is when we do our preliminary, we're gonna let everybody just do their budget preliminary, how they think, right? We'll just do that. Hey, Dave.
Hey. Hey, Dennis. There's wine in your truck.
Thank you.
But when they come to our budget hearing and they all come in, one by one, we'll have this for everybody. And it will be, and I think the good thing is we'll use their numbers, you know, because we're gonna fill that preliminary budget with their numbers.
Yep.
Right? We'll use their numbers and they can see how upside down it is. And then we'll go from there. Because and then we start tightening it, you know. So, that's all I know.